One of the things we know, looking at stakeholder reactions to crises all over the place, not just in the United States but around the world, not just companies but for not-for-profits, religious organizations, other kinds of organizations, stakeholders are relatively sophisticated. They know bad things happen all the time. You know, there's a bumper sticker. Stuff happens. It's a different word on the bumper sticker. Stuff happens. People know that. Stuff happens all the time. Stuff happens even to good people, even to good companies, even to good organizations. Stuff happens. Companies are forgiven all the time when horrible things happen. Companies are forgiven all the time when people are killed, when people are injured, when people are made ill, when people are cheated, when people are insulted. Companies are forgiven all the time. They're forgiven all the time. But they can't be forgiven, and they won't be forgiven if they're seen not to care that something bad happened. So let me share the moment where I finally figured out how to convey this. It was a week after Thanksgiving, a couple of years ago, and I was coming back from a long trip, and I'd been stuck at O'Hare forever, and I finally got to LaGuardia, and it's 2:30 in the morning. I get off the airplane. I'm tired. I'm dragging a suitcase with a broken wheel. I'm feeling sorry for myself. And I look up in the LaGuardia terminal, and there's this gleaming glass, well-lit billboard. And there's a relatively famous guy who had gotten really famous in the prior week staring out of that billboard. And there's young Tiger Woods. And he's looking at the situation with his golf ball there, and Accenture would have us believe that he is saying, it's what you do next that counts. It's what you do next that counts. I so wish Tiger had followed his own advice the week before. When you have an accident, you hit, say, a fire plug, and you're found on the grass in some physical distress by the police and taken to the hospital. What would, I don't know, reasonable people expect a responsible person to do? One of the things they'd expect you to do is, when the cops come to talk to you, you talk to the cops. Well, Friday morning, that happened Thursday at about 2 in the morning. Friday morning, the cop showed up, and Tiger said, you know, I'm really tired. I've been in the emergency room all night. I'm not feeling good because I got banged up. Can we do this tomorrow? Cop said, sure. Cops came back the next day, said, can we do this on Monday? Cops show up on Monday. Lawyers say, Tiger's not going to talk to you. That's when TMZ went crazy. That's when it was all Tiger all the time. Oh, ladies coming out of the woodwork, Tiger! And the audio recording from the answering machine, Tiger just went into a downward spiral because he didn't do what reasonable people would reasonably expect. My own guess is, if he had talked to the cops, no matter what happened beyond there, this wouldn't have been nearly as interesting a story. What got the media sniffing around was, why isn't he talking to the cops? That's what reasonable people would appropriately expect a responsible organization to do. It isn't the bad thing that happens, it's what you do next that counts. And silence, going back to your lawyer friends, silence isn't golden, despite what my mother tried to beat into me when I was a younger kid. Silence isn't golden. Silence actually is seen as indifference, or worse, as an affirmation of guilt. Something horrible must have happened if he's not going to talk to the cops. Something horrible must have happened if he's not going to talk to the cops. What could that horrible thing be? And the speculation begins. Silence also allows others, including your adversaries and your critics, to define you, to define the crisis, to define your motives, to define your actions. To actually say, no, his wife chased him out of the house with a golf club and started beating the car, and then dragged him out of the car, started beating him. And everyone said, yeah, that actually makes sense. At that point, that was the narrative. Silence allows others to define. File that one away. Silence also invites your adversaries to rally others, to rally the media, to rally class action lawyers to sue you, to rally social media to come against you, to rally competitors to start picking off your people and your customers. Silence is an invitation to those who want to wish you ill to actually succeed in wishing you ill. To be effective, you need to be quick, but you can't be quick and stupid. You need to be quick and smart. Warfighting gives us a way to understand that. The Marines define speed as the consistent ability to operate quickly. Speed is not impulsively blabbing in the immediate aftermath of something bad happening, but it's having the ability to operate effectively in a timely way. Warfighting also says that speed is a weapon. Speed, defined by the Marines as the consistent ability to operate effectively in a timely way, is a weapon that provides competitive advantage. And in the world of crisis management, we have a concept called the first mover advantage. You also have it in marketing. The first mover advantage in crisis says whoever defines the crisis first, whoever defines your motives first, whoever defines your actions first, wins. The first mover advantage is if you're the first to define the crisis, if you're the first to define your motives, if you're the first to define your actions as appropriate, you win. But the starting point has to be, what are the appropriate expectations of your stakeholders? Meet them, show that you're meeting those expectations, you'll be fine. Silence allows others to do that for you. And in the world of crisis, we find that relatively small delays have a huge impact on trust and confidence and reputation. Relatively small delays have a huge impact. This is a principle that the military calls disproportionality. I'll call it the golden hour of crisis response. And that says that incremental delays in demonstrating that you are taking responsible steps, incremental delays in demonstrating that you are taking responsible steps, has a greater than incremental impact on the outcome. And one of the ways to understand it is the rule of 45 minutes, 6 hours, 3 days, 2 weeks, ... And that says that if in the first 45 minutes of a crisis becoming public, you can define your motives, define your actions, define the crisis itself in a powerful way that meets appropriate stakeholder expectations, crisis will go away, very few people will have heard about it, and you'll be fine. If you miss that 45-minute window, if people start tweeting, if people start Facebooking, if people start emailing, more and more people are going to hear about it, more and more people are going to draw conclusions about you, more and more people who don't wish you well will come to hear about this, employees will start to email each other, you'll suffer meaningful, greater than incremental harm. If you can define effectively within the first 6 hours, it'll go away. If you can't, simply because of mainstream media and social media reaction to mainstream, you're going to have the story alive for 3 days. And in those 3 days, way more people are going to know about it. The rumor mill will start. A lot of critics will come to the bandwagon and see that they can take advantage of your distress. And if within 3 days you can define the crisis, your motives, your actions, it'll go away. If you can't, you're going to be in crisis mode for a full 2 weeks. And in those 2 weeks, people are going to have a field day with you. And if you can't do the responsible thing in a timely way within 2 weeks, it's going to be all BP all the time, all something horrible all the time, and someone's going to have to lose their job. What this suggests is the sooner you can demonstrate that you're doing the responsible thing, the more likely you are to get through the crisis relatively unscathed. What typically happens is people in our line of work, in your line of work, and in my line of work, sometime around here, will make a recommendation that's a good recommendation. Companies will finally make a decision sometime around here. And what would have worked on this day doesn't work on this day because you've got to overcome all of that other stuff. So effective crisis communication is pushing the decision making as close to the first 45 minutes as you can, and the paradox is the sooner you do the responsible thing, the easier it is. What would work on day 1 doesn't work on day 7, doesn't work on day 10.